Hi friends, welcome to World Explorer. Today we are discussing about tumor lysis syndrome. This is again most important question in the exams of PGNet. So let's see what is the definition of tumor lysis syndrome. Again we can see there are two types of tumor lysis syndrome. One is laboratory tumor lysis syndrome and another is clinical tumor lysis syndrome. Laboratory tumor lysis syndrome means if we are seeing any symptoms of metabolic abnormalities like hypercalcemia, hyperuricemia or hyperkalemia within 7 days after the initiation of therapy or before 3 days we can see the lab results, then it is called as laboratory tumor lysis syndrome. If this laboratory tumor lysis syndrome is followed with cardiac dysrhythmias and death, if we are seeing these symptoms clinically, then it is called as clinical tumor lysis syndrome. So this is very common in these patients, the patients of advanced B cell non-Hodgkin lymphoma and Burkitt's lymphoma, and these patients who are on treatment of cyclophosphamide, vincristine, prednisone. These are the drugs which we are using for chemotherapy. So when a patient is taking these treatments, so there is a chance of tumor lysis, and because of this tumor lysis all the electrolytes are being released into the blood. So there we can see the symptoms of hypercalcemia, etc. Now we can see what is the pathophysiology. If there is lysis of cells, there is a release of potassium and phosphorus, nucleic acids, etc. Once these are metabolized to hypoxanthine and then to xanthine, and then the final product is the uric acid. Now when this uric acid is going to deposit in the kidneys, it is going to cause deposits and then it is causing the renal impairment, and it even leads to the acute kidney injury. And all of you know that already hyperkalemia is a very serious and fatal, and it even causes dysrhythmias, and if there is hyperphosphatemia, even it also can deposit in the glomeruli, so or kidney, so then it even cause the hyperphosphatemia, and this even cause tetany, dysrhythmia, seizure, etc. Next thing is uric acid. If there is uric acid, there is a chance of renal vasoconstriction, impaired autoregulation, and decreased renal blood flow, oxidation and inflammation, and even lead to acute kidney injury. And next thing is cytokine release. If the cytokines are released, it is leading to multi-organ failure in the patient. So these are the symptoms: hyperuricemia, hyperkalemia, hyperphosphatemia, hypocalcemia, renal insufficiency, cardiac arrhythmia, seizures and multi-organ failure. What is the management? Management is of renal function and preservation of dysrhythmias and neuromuscular irritability. So how to prevent the AKI? Intravenous hydration is to be needed, and then improve the renal perfusion and also glomerular filtration. You give hyperhydration, that is maintain up to 2500 to 3000 ml per square meter per day in patients of high risk, and sometimes diuretics also may be necessary like furosemide, and target the urine output 2 ml per kg per hour, that is approximately 150 ml per hour. Next thing is to manage the hyperuricemia. Allopurinol is being used, but the problem with allopurinol is again it is going to cause xanthine neuropathy. It is a side effect of allopurinol, and when there is a raspberry case, it can even preserve the renal function, it can be administered safely. This has been proven by some of the researchers, but this should not be given more than 5 days because it's not recommended. Only one course is recommended by the raspberry case, and it is more effective than allopurinol. So next step is alkalization of urine. This is again controversial step. If there is a raspberry case available, then there is no need of alkalization of urine. But even if it is not available, then if we are doing alkalization, because alkalization of urine helps in preventing hyperuricemia but not hyperphosphatemia. So when there is a chance of hyperphosphatemia, you should stop the alkalization of urine. So if patient is already having low risk, maintain with IV fluids and allopurinol or without allopurinol, but you should monitor for the symptoms. Next, there is a chance of cardiac dysrhythmias because there is a hyperkalemia symptoms. So for this, what we have to do, we have to limit the potassium and phosphorus intake, avoid the potassium rich foods, potassium level monitoring. Oral sodium polystyrene sulfonate is being given to maintain the hyperkalemia, that is to treat the hyperkalemia. We are giving oral sodium polystyrene sulfonate. And if it is very severe, then patient may need hemodialysis and hemofiltration, and glucose plus insulin is recommended, and some patients may need even beta agonists. Calcium gluconate is also recommended. So the summary: it is an oncologic emergency. After the initiation of chemotherapy, there is a large amount of release of potassium, phosphate and uric acid, and this uric acid and phosphate is going to deposit in renal tubules and causing the vasoconstriction, and again leading to reduced renal blood flow and leading to acute kidney injury. So alkalization of urine is controversial. Treatment with allopurinol and raspberry case, and maintain the enough hydration to prevent the acute kidney injury. This is the bibliography. This is a study published in this and in the New England Journal of Medicine in the 2018, done by the Scott C. Howard and Deborah P. Jones. And if you like this presentation, subscribe, comment and like and share to your friends and family members. Thank you.